Good morning and welcome to another fantastic episode of Daybreak. I'm your host, Taylor Fife.
And I'm your host, Royce Jones.
Our top stories this morning start with what would you do if you had to survive an active shooter?
And who won the United Student Government elections?
Wake up and smell the roses, Pittsburgh, because here comes Daybreak. So Royce, how about the weather?
You know what? Sunglasses were on, coat was thrown into the back of the closet. I was out today. The sun is shining. Wonderful weather today in
This is
Pittsburgh.
definitely what we've been waiting for, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, we've been at Mother Nature for quite some time about it now. She's hearing our daybreak cries.
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints this week.
Yeah, me either. Well, Jess, is the weather going to continue for us?
Well, guys, it's going to continue for some time. As you can see today, we have a high of 80 and a low of 53. So you're going to see a lot more of that sunshine that we've been seeing. And as we transition on into the rest of the week, we have a high of 79 and a low of 61. So a little bit of clouds in there, but absolutely beautiful temperatures. So you're going to want to toss that coat back in your closet and have fun with the weather. You know, maybe go to the park. Throw a frisbee, you know, have fun with it. And as we transition on to the rest of the week here, we have some clouds and it gets a little colder actually. So you're going to want to break out those windbreakers. We're going to maybe expect some showers in there. So you got a high of 40s and a low of 30. So it's definitely going to drop as we transition on later into next week. And then, yeah, as we close out the rest of the week, we see some clouds come back and some higher temperatures. So it's that crazy Pittsburgh weather, guys. It's always fluctuating, but always be prepared. Bring a windbreaker, an umbrella, and maybe some snowshoes all on the same day, because you never know what to expect here in Pittsburgh. Back to you guys at the couch.
You got that right, Jess. Yeah. Thanks very much. You might have brought some of that good Vegas weather back with you. You might be a good luck charm around here. All right, everybody. Well, here's your city and campus news. Protesters gathered outside the City County building, urging leaders for transparency in the Amazon H2Q bid. The protest, hosted by Pittsburgh United, happened around 10 a.m. Wednesday morning, bringing residents from all over the area demanding to know what exactly was on the table for the tech giant to bring its second headquarters here. During the protest, they expressed their discomfort about the impact the headquarters could have on their small communities and demanded quality jobs, affordable housing, and investment into their areas. There was also an interesting guest there to answer some of their questions. A life-size Amazon Alexa made an appearance.
Is Amazon promising to invest in schools, affordable housing, and public transit in exchange for these tax breaks?
I'm sorry, I can't answer that. Would you like to hear about Amazon's daily deals?
No.
A gruesome discovery for police after they discovered 56 animals deceased at a West End home this past Monday. Police responded to the 1200 block of Arnold Street for a call from neighbors where they found 33 chickens, 18 ducks, and 5 rabbits, all dead in trash bags and cages outside the home of 52-year-old Dennis Safranco. Safranco was arrested and charged Tuesday and faces charges of over 100 felony counts, including animal torture and causing death by food and water deprivation. Safranco allegedly was overwhelmed by the care of the animals. Officials are urging anyone having too many animals that they can care for to reach out to shelters, animal control, or the police.
What would you do if you had to survive an active shooting incident? That's the question a local police department plans to answer. Next week, the Ross Township Police Department will be hosting a 90-minute-long class to train residents from all over the Pittsburgh area on how to respond to an active shooter. The department says it's imperative for people to know the physical, psychological, and emotional stress they could undergo trying to survive an active shooting incident. The class will be taught by Ross Township Police next Saturday at the Ross Township Municipal Building at 10 a.m. if you want to be there.
United Student Government President Robert Bertha announced the results of the 2018 USG election on Monday. Current sophomore Kaylee Kearns will become the new USG president, and current freshman Brittany Art will become the new vice president. On the same day the election results were announced, current sophomore Haley Hoffman resigned as president tempore due to, quote, academic obligations. According to USG, Kearns defeated Hoffman 66-41 in votes. ARP received 103 votes. USG also stated that President-elect Kearns and Vice President-elect ARP will be sworn in on Monday, April 23rd at 3:15, and Kearns will be announcing her cabinet positions in the coming weeks.
Point Park's annual Outstanding Student Awards will be happening on Friday, April 25th from 7 until 9 p.m. at the Fairmont Pittsburgh Hotel. Point Park University President Paul Hennigan, Provost John Pearson, and the staff from Alumni Relations and Student Affairs will be handing out awards to students in order to celebrate their accomplishments over this past year. Some of the awards include Distinguished Student, Outstanding Student Leader, Student Organization of the Year, and the Don Kelly Outstanding Student Athlete. Registration will start at 6:30 p.m. If you plan on making an appearance there, be sure to RSVP before midnight tonight through Point Park's homepage.
Point Park's Campus Activities Board will be holding their very last late night bingo event for the semester on Thursday, April 19th from 9 until 11 p.m. in Lawrence Hall Ballroom. CAB says this will be your last chance to have a shot at winning many cool sun-themed prizes, like a mini fridge, a mini trampoline, pool inflatables, a cornhole board, a snow machine, and more. Well, if you're going to the Outstanding Student Awards, make sure to RSVP by tonight at midnight. You know, I'm very excited for it. I will be there. Even our own Jess Patachak will be there. She's nominated as Outstanding Pioneer Ambassador this year.
That is awesome. Congratulations, Jess.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, coming up after the break, what new professional football league is coming this spring?
And what recent investigation is underway for the NYPD. That and more after the break.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. You miss your old familiar friends, but waiting just around the bend. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a love of somebody who needs you. When you're lost out there and you're all alone, life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look, everywhere you look.
Spending just 7 minutes climbing stairs each day cuts your risk of a heart attack in half over 10 years. Sure, elevators are convenient, but you burn twice the number of calories just going upstairs than you do while jogging. Think about how long you spend waiting for elevators. The average person spends the equivalent of 2 years waiting for elevators over the course of their lifetime. Don't let that be you. Save time and increase energy. Next time, take the stairs.
Let's go.
Welcome back to Daybreak. I'm Aaron Becker with your latest sports news. The NFL isn't the only football league anymore, as a new league is emerging. It's called the Spring League. It's an elite developmental league for players who have professional football talent. Most of the players in the Spring League have spent time on NFL active, practice, or preseason rosters. NFL scouts, GMs, and player personnel directors can go and evaluate players since all the teams practice and play at the same location in Austin, Texas. The founder of the Spring League is Brian Woods. This is his second football property he has established, his first being the FXFL, also known as the Fall Experimental Football League. The league is split into 4 teams. the North, South, East, and West. And you might recognize the quarterback for the South team. His name is Johnny Manziel. Manziel won the Heisman Trophy in 2012 with Texas A&M. He was then drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the first round of the 2014 NFL Draft. He recently took his first snaps in a competitive football game in over 2 years. He went 9 of 15 for 83 yards and a touchdown in his debut. Although his team lost 11-7, Manziel said, quote, "It was good to be back on the field," end quote. The league has partnered with Bleacher Report Live and Facebook to stream its games. Each team will play 2 games in the 2018 Spring League season. The league season began March 28th and ends April 13th. That's it for sports. Let's head over to the Daybreak News Desk with Brianna McCaw. What do we need to know in national news?
Thanks, Aaron. According to New York Daily News, a man was fatally shot by New York police officers in Brooklyn last week, Wednesday. A call was made to 911 around 4:30 p.m. saying a black male was waving a metal object at people as if it were a gun. The suspect was identified as Sahid Vassal, 34 of Brooklyn, who happens to suffer from bipolar disorder. 4 unidentified officers at the scene mistaken the pipe for a gun and shot at Vessel, striking him until he was on the ground. Vessel was rushed to a hospital nearby shortly after the incident, where he was pronounced dead. Authorities say when police arrived to the scene, Vessel was aiming the metal pipe at the officers in a shooting stance. According to the spokeswoman for New York's Attorney General, they are going into further investigation of the shooting. In other news, happenings in the Bill Cosby retrial are underway. According to USA Today, Cosby paid his accuser nearly $3 million back in 2004. Opening statements were given on Monday as the trial will hear over 5 new accusers in this retrial. The jury consists of 7 men and 5 women from Montgomery County. Cosby is currently facing charges for the aggravated indecent sexual assault of Andrea Constant, a former Temple University basketball manager. These are the only charges for the retrial that Cosby currently faces. That's all for national news. Now let's head back over to the couch with Royce and Taylor.
Coming up after the break, find out why Facebook is under investigation.
And what are your Kardashians up to? All that and more after the break.
If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be.
Spending just 7 minutes climbing stairs each day cuts your risk of a heart attack in half over 10 years. Sure, elevators are convenient, but you burn twice the number of calories just going upstairs than you do while jogging. Think about how long you spend waiting for elevators. The average person spends the equivalent of 2 years waiting for elevators over the course of their lifetime. Don't let that be you. Save time and increase energy. Next time, take the stairs.
Let's go.
Welcome back to Daybreak. I'm Nick Tomarello with your timely tech news.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg traveled to Washington, D.C. on Monday and Tuesday to testify in front of congressional committees. Now, this comes 3 weeks after an expose published by The Guardian in the New York Times reported that 50 million Facebook user profiles were shared with the political data firm Cambridge Analytica. Now, we know that there were more than first reported after Facebook released an online update saying that the information of up to 87 million people may have been shared. Now, according to a report by the Washington Post, Zuckerberg was questioned for 5 hours on Tuesday in front of a joint session of the Senate Judiciary and Commerce Committees. He was also questioned for another 4 hours by the House Committee of Energy and Commerce on Wednesday. Now, NBC News noted that this was the first time Zuckerberg ever testified before any form of the U.S. government. Senators and representatives brought up regulating use of personal data, Russian involvement in the 2016 election, if the company was biased toward conservatives, and whether or not Facebook was becoming a monopoly, taking control and leading the social media industry. Now, Zuckerberg did apologize throughout the hearing and said, quote, "I started Facebook, I run it, and I'm responsible for what happens here." Well, there's everything you need to know in tech. Let's head over to Sarah Gibson with the latest entertainment wrap-up. Sarah?
When you think Kardashians, you think baby mama drama, and that's exactly what happened last Tuesday after several reports surfaced claiming that Cleveland Cavaliers player Tristan Thompson was cheating on his girlfriend, a very pregnant Khloe Kardashian, with other women. While neither of them have officially commented on the matter, several sources have come out saying that Khloe, who gave birth yesterday, was incredibly distraught and begging to go back to LA, but her doctor wouldn't let her. But don't worry, she's not alone. Kardashian matriarch Kris was in Cleveland with Khloe to support her until the baby arrived. Thompson and Kardashian first started dating in the fall of 2016, when Thompson's ex-girlfriend Jordan Craig was pregnant with her first child before giving birth that December. Craig made a statement on social media late Tuesday saying, quote, "If you respect yourself and you respect others, you would never make light of the misfortune of anyone, nor would you feel indemnified when it comes to the expense of others. Wishing peace for everyone," end quote. In a recent interview with People magazine, Mariah Carey has revealed that she has bipolar disorder, a mental health condition that causes extreme emotional highs and lows. While she said she was diagnosed in 2001, she only recently sought out treatment for the condition. She's now in therapy and taking medication for the condition, which she says is working well. The singer-songwriter posted the cover photo of her story in the April 23rd edition of People with the caption, quote, "I'm grateful to be sharing this part of my journey with you," unquote. Why did she decide to share it all now? Well, according to Carey, it's because she's just, quote, "in a really good place right now, where she's comfortable talking about her struggles." Quote, "I'm hopeful we can get to a place where the stigma is lifted," Carey said. "It does not have to define you, and I refuse to allow it to define me or control me," end quote. There's your entertainment, and there's your entertaining entertainment news. Let's head back to the couch with Royce and Taylor.
Thanks, Sarah. Now stay tuned for after the break. We have two financial experts on the show to teach you more about budgeting.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
What's one word to describe CAB?
Welcoming.
Community.
Creative.
Experiences.
Family.
Openness.
Pineapple.
The Campus Activities Board is a student-run organization that consists of 7 different committees. Each focuses on event planning, marketing, and administrative activities. Join us in organizing the juiciest events on campus, from late-night bingo to festive dances to our team bonding meetings. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Point Park Cap, or like us on Facebook at Campus Activities Board at Point Park University.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. I'm Josh Troop alongside Jess Paterchak.
Defending his decision to kick out 15 Cuban diplomats from the United States.
Thanks, Allison. Fitness on Demand has returned to Point Park.
Residents fear that Mount Agung will have a repeat of 1963's eruption.
Two-star NFL quarterbacks made the headlines this week after wrapping up.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. That's your news tonight. For Nick Tomarello, I'm Alex Grubbs. Have a great night.
Welcome back to Daybreak. Now, it is no secret that college students often struggle financially, especially when it comes to student loan debt and understanding a budget. So that's why today we have Professor Angela Isaac and Professor Elaine Luther from the School of Business here at Point Park to help us out with that.
That's right. Welcome. Thank you guys for coming on today and talking with us. I know before the show started, we were just talking about something that's on the top of everybody's minds nowadays when it comes to finances for college students, and that's budgeting. And I know you said you had some stuff you wanted to share.
Oh, absolutely. I think that one of the most important things for anyone, but especially for students, is to develop a great habit of keeping track of where your money is. And it's not just spending, it's also money coming in. A lot of times we think when we receive gifts that that's just free money. Well, money is money, and you need to keep track of all of it. We teach a class called the Money Thing here on campus, and one of the exercises is we have students track money, even down to the penny. We tell them if you find a quarter on the ground, pick it up and log it in. And just develop that habit of understanding where is my money going, spending as well as receiving.
Okay, and what are some of the results that you have out of that exercise?
Oh, some people realize they should probably own a Starbucks at this point. That's one of the big ones.
Right. Yeah.
I think the other thing is that it makes us much more conscious of the fact that we're probably running short every month, and also sensitive to how we're making up the difference. A lot of times it's parents or friends that are sort of tiding us through. And if we do that every single month, that's a chronic problem that has to be addressed before you go out into what we call the real world, right? Because there aren't going to be those kinds of safety nets around. So it's really good to have a habit of budgeting. And there's so many tools like Mint, and most people who have bank accounts have access to bank products that will automatically do budgeting for them by dropping in all of their transactions out of their bank accounts. So no excuse for not doing it today.
Right.
Yeah. So what about before you get to college? What can parents or students do to help protect themselves against taking out student loans or having a better budget? What can they do?
Well, I had some examples for that. One of the things you could do is do very well in all your classes. Not only, all right, that actually helps because your parents give you a lot more freedom, so it's a win-win situation. But if you could take AP courses in high school, or you get your grades up, then you can get better financial aid or better grants from schools. So that can reduce your costs. And if you get AP courses and pick a college that will accept them, then those are less courses that you have to pay for. The other things that you could do is start a job earlier, or maybe even taking a couple courses at a community college before you start.
Right.
Maybe the summer after you graduate, take a couple community college courses.
Okay.
The other thing we tell students is don't drop a class.
Yes.
The key is if in fact you're having a rough time, work with your faculty member, work with your advisor. We have a lot of tutoring available on campus, but you've already paid for that class. Why pay for it again? And so as much as possible, know from the beginning of the course where you stand with the course and work with the faculty member early so that you can ensure you complete it successfully. That's real money.
And I mean, do we see a lot of cases like that here around Point Park with students losing their money?
Well, it's sort of an opportunity cost where they've already paid the tuition and they're really in the moment thinking about how they're doing in the course. And they forget the fact that they've paid for it, and if they need it to graduate, they've got to take it again, which means they're paying for it again. Right. So we're just cautioning students to be very mindful of that.
Right, and I know you mentioned starting a job early. Now, on with your topic of budgeting. How can students maybe take out, they're not working too many hours if you're a full-time student, so how can you maybe budget some money and set some money aside to invest and save and grow?
Well, I think that this is very hard to do, but the rule is to try to put aside 10% of everything you make. And just put it, you could have, in some places, have it taken out of your paycheck and immediately put into a savings account, or have it taken right from your paycheck and allocate part of your paycheck if you have direct deposit. Anytime you get a gift, you could put that in that savings account. But Angela and I were talking about that even when you pick the job that you have, pick a job where you can get a discount. So if you're going to work in the summer, work at a bookstore. So maybe you can get a discount on books or supplies for school. Or maybe you work at a place where they're selling electronics, so you could get the employee discount. So you could double the impact of your work experience by doing that. And I said I had even done that when I had a corporate job. I worked for a tennis place so I could get free tennis time. And so I'd get up on Sunday morning and check people in, but then I got to play tennis, which was my hobby, for free.
Save money, have a hobby, and get some exercise too. You can't
That's
beat
right.
that, right?
That's right.
Now, if you're working somewhere where you are getting this discount, you might be subjected to a particular effect that you and I were discussing earlier, and I'll let you share with the viewers of what that's called.
Okay, well, this is, I had not heard it before, but what I was reading, preparing for this, was one thing that young people have a problem with now is something called FOMO, which is fear of missing out, which is the current version of keeping up with the Joneses. And so a lot of times people will not want to miss out on an experience or an event, and so they overspend rather than say, I don't have the money now, because of the peer pressure and just feeling like they're missing something. And that's pretty common. So what you could start to do is convince your friends to do something that costs less. Like instead of eating out, you could cook in for a change.
Boulevard Apartments, they're really set up to do that.
Or if you're a Lawrence, pop some popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
Or go
Put
to
it
a
on the
free
radiator.
movie, or use the things on campus, or get one person to get the Netflix thing and then go to their place and watch the movies. You don't have to not be less busy, but you could do things. And I think that pressure to do that is there, and it's also a bigger thing of consumerism. But then if you admit there are things you like to do, then be smart about how you can get to it without spending as much money.
It goes back to knowing how much money you're spending and spending it on the things you really want to spend it on.
Right, exactly. I think that's a good word
to leave us on.
To leave us on. Yeah, I know we could probably go on all day about finances here. You guys have a lot of beneficial information. Thank you guys for coming on.
Pleasure.
Dr. Isaac, Dr.
Thanks
Luther.
for including us.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, that's it for Daybreak. Tune in next week for the news you need. I'm your host, Taylor Fife.
And I'm Royce Jones, hoping your news is good news.